Alrighty, I guess some of you came back because you're here. So let me take down, hang on, I got this sip of coffee. When I made a part 2, you would think I'd like walk around, go take a break, but I didn't. I just turn it off, close it, and then reopen it and restart it. Alright, so to get all these pieces out, this piece has to come out here. This is your safety. This is their safety pin is what holds, I think maybe this in. I could take this piece off first if I want to. This is a really kind of dangerous piece to take off because it's pretty hard, but it's not the end of the world. You'll notice there is a pin hole on this side and this side is rounded. So obviously you want to put this in the side of the hole and push it out that way. So we are going to tap this little bad boy out here. Should I take this off first? Yeah, I'll be alright. So the pin's coming out now. We're going to go ahead and push that, finish pushing that out. Now because there's a spring in here that's pushing outward, if you put downward pressure on this, it makes this pin come out easy. So you can force it or hammer it, or you can turn it upside down, and I'm going to literally push down on this table. It's going to put upward pressure here, and then I'm going to be able to push this pin out easier. Pin came out, and then I let go, and it pushes the spring out. And then this slides out. This little pin right here, you got to be careful because that needs to go back. That little pin right there needs to go back in that hole. So this piece came out. I don't see any rust here. So now I have this pin and this thing out. Now there is a spring in here that is a pain in the butt, and I will take it out for you, but it's a pain in the butt. Okay, we'll just do that right now. So because there's a spring in here and there's constant pressure up, it holds this pin in. This pin is flat on the back side because it fits flush, and then it's got a little indentation here that goes through. You need something really small to get in there, and I don't think this pin will go in there because it's not big enough. Let's see if this little sucker will go in there. I think that's too big too. Let me get a small little Allen wrench that'll go in there. Too big. Yeah, this little guy will go in there. So this little guy's going to push it out. There's no way this would bend if I tried to push this out right now. So I have to put something in here to release that spring tension. Then when I push this, this pin's going to come right out. So I'm going to take this here. I'm going to push down. I'm going to push down with this to relieve the spring tension, and this is going to go in to move that pin out. Ready? Happens quick. And here's this little pin, which I do not want to drop. It's flat on one end and that on the other end. I'll never find it if I drop it. And then this is your probably a little end cap. Usually that's stuck to your spring and it doesn't separate. I'm really surprised the spring didn't come out. Which leads me to believe there might be a little rust in there or something. Okay, so we pulled this out. Remember, the pointed end goes in first. Don't reverse these. I think this little piece comes out. Unfinished end of the spring, this piece goes. This is a finished end of the spring. So this piece goes on the finished end. Alright? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces now just in this area that we need to clean. So I'm going to clean these and then we're going to put them back together. Okay? Because these are the things that get lost. These are the things that cause my cleaning videos to cause cussing. And then I have little crybaby pansies coming here. You don't have any patience, and you get upset, and you got a gun and you get upset, and that's a dangerous combination. Shut up, you little freaking panty. So I got a little dirt off this little piece here. Not a lot. See, when you get this little dirt off each little piece and you do multiple pieces, that the little dirt may not mean much, but so I got a little dirt off there. This little pin, which I'm paranoid about. I've got a box of extra parts around here somewhere, but I could never find it. So that little pin's there. This is the retainer pin for this sucker. And the spring. How do we clean our springs? This is big enough to get a rag through it. So I'm going to go ahead and just squeeze it and twist it. And then I can tell if I have dirt on the outside. See those little rings? I got a little bit of dirt from the outside. But now I'm going to fold my patch, slide it through, if I can get it through. And do some twisting. And I might put a Q-tip through this. That unfinished end keeps catching on my glove. So let me see if I can get a little Q-tip through here. I'm going to use my break free because I'm going to start putting this back together with some break free. Ah, looks like it will go through. So I'm just going to spin. Oh, got a lot of dirt off there too. Wow. Nice. Okay, so I got that there. I'm going to put a little break free on these parts right here. And then this sucker's going back together. Now, I did not clean the inside of this hole like a bad boy. I need a spanking. And you will always get dirt out of this hole. Don't ask me why, but it just is. If you shoot the gun, you're going to get dirt out of this hole. Nobody ever takes it apart because it's kind of a pain in the butt. And you're going to get some dirt. Those are grooves. Always pay attention to your grooved areas. Alrighty. So this little one compartment is done. I'm going to put a little, I put oil on everything. Did I put some on this? I think I did. I didn't put any oil on this or down the tube where I got the dirt. Oh shit, I forgot to shake this up. See my break free, how it settles if you don't shake it up? Damn. I can't get a Q-tip through this hole, so I'm going to have to get my pipe cleaner. And it looks pretty good. So let's get this back together before it falls apart. Anybody remember how this goes? So I just put this like this, and this was a little wobbly. And that's the top piece where that pin goes in. I want this flat. And that's because I put the unfinished ends of a spring up here. So I put the finished end, you'll notice it lays flat. That's why it's important to pay attention to those finished end versus unfinished. Unfinished on the bottom isn't a big deal because all the pressure is going to be down there and it's in an enclosed tube. So it's not as big as of a deal. So that goes in the tube. This piece goes on top. I have to put tension and push this all the way down in order to get this little bitty pin that I don't want to drop, that I'm shaking because I don't want to drop it. And then it needs to go in the opposite way, so this flat side comes on the flat back here. So it's got to go this way. Alright? And you have to do that while balancing this without turning it over. Rick, that looks very difficult. It's very difficult with gloves on. And then it needs to be flat in the back. Your spring is down in there. I hate to do this, but I got to pull this back out because this spring, you see that pin? It looks like it's over that. And I think there's a groove that it needs to go between, but I need to check. Well, evidently there's not. See, I was looking to see if there was a groove on this to where it go in between, but the only way it can hold it is if it's under it. So it has to go. I mean, I guess it could just use the spring. No, I can't go through the spring. So I had it right. Oh, shit. And it went in easy right, which is rare. I can't find a hole. So I found the hole, but it doesn't want to go in flush. There it went. So it wanted to kind of bend in sideways a little bit and not go in straight, and that's where my problem was. Okay, so this piece is done. Don't forget to shake up your brake free. I'm really disappointed because alright, this piece is done. I can put that over there. But that's done in oil. I don't think I oiled those other pieces. So before I pull this off, I'm going to oil my other pieces. My brake free is shaken up, and I'm going to oil all my pieces to make sure I have a little coat of oil on everything. Even though I think that strike hold is a protectant, I think the brake free is a protectant and a lubricant. So I kind of, because I found some kind of little rust on here, I'm a little, so I'm just handling these screws. Okay. Remember, when you're oiling things, you're letting it soak in and absorb. So even though it looks oily, people will tell you it's too much oil, it's going to absorb into the metals. Rick, oil can't absorb. Okay, whatever. You can clean your gun your way and tell me I'm full of crap. That's okay. Okay. Alright, so now I have all my parts oiled. That's supposed to be oiled, except this barrel here. How's that barrel look inside? I haven't cleaned that yet. Let me get a patch to there. This patch looks like it's had better days. So I'm going to get a clean patch over one of my not so dirty patches, because it's a 45. These are actually 38 caliber patches, so I put 2 of these to do my 45s. And let's see what kind of crap I get out of this barrel. A little bit, not a lot. Okay, so my barrel's good. We'll put some oil on the outside here. And we should be good to go. So now that's clean. I haven't oiled this down because it could be like soaking up oil right now into the metal while I'm sitting here cleaning this other stuff, and I didn't. So we're going to get a good little coat of oil on this bad boy. Now look, if this was a gun I was carrying on my side, I wouldn't put this much oil. And that's where I think people get kind of crazy on me and say, dude, I've used less oil to change the oil on my car. Well, this gun is kind of sitting around. So I want it good and lubricated. It's not like I'm carrying it out in the elements. It's sitting in a controlled environment in the house, waiting for me to grab it and use it. And it's not being carried every day. So that's the difference between... Wow, I still got dirt out of that tube, even though I cleaned it like 3 times. That's where my extractor went. I'm going to do the other side and get that firing pin tube area. Okay, didn't get any stuff in there. And this is my, man, still got out of that little tube. So this has already been oiled. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in right now, so I don't have all these pieces laying around. So again, this needs to be flush like it was before. So it's going to fit in there like that with the right angle. That, the hook, needs to obviously be on the inside so it can hook the bullet. If I put it in this way, it'll be wrong and it won't go flush. Again, a lot of times you got to do a little twisting to get it in there. And then it popped right in there. And it's straight. And once you put that in, here's a little pro tip for you. Always try your pin that's going to go in there, because it's got these little grooves. Always try to slide that in and see if it closes. It doesn't. Sometime if this is a fraction of an inch too low or too high, it won't go in. And if you're trying to put your firing pin in and you haven't checked this, you got issues. So I got to move this up. So I'm just going to come down here and push on this extractor a little bit and see if that helped. It didn't. There. So now, because that went in, I know this is right. So now I don't want to push with that. I want to take this out. I'm going to put my firing pin back in there. Remember the firing pin spring goes in here? Which way does it go? Is this the right way or the wrong way? Everybody ought to be saying it's the wrong way, because it needs to hold it. It needs to be twisted on and hard. It's not holding it. So now it's the right way. So that's going to go in the tube. Now I got to put pressure on there while I put my this little guy in there. What I normally do is, remember this little flat side here, how it's curved? That's what's going to be hitting the slide, so it has to go in that way. So when it comes back, it forces the hammer back. So this is what's cocking your hammer. It goes bang, and then this pushes the hammer back. Bang, it pushes the hammer back. Now the grooves are only on one side, so it has to go in this way. So I get it started just to where it's ready to go. I push this down with my finger, It's ready to go. I know it's in the right spot. I'm putting pressure with my thumb to push this in. So as soon as the firing pin's out of the way, this should slide straight in. And now I need something to get that firing pin out of the way. Ah, come on, baby, go in. Damn. So see, I couldn't get it pushed in when I had that down because I was just didn't have it. So I got it in just enough to hold while putting pressure, and then I push this up and the firing pin's going to pop in there. So now this is put back together. I have less parts here. This piece is back together. And now we're going to pull this little bad boy out. And these are the pieces that are kind of like a pain, because we have a flat spring, we have all kind of things. So the first pin that comes out is always your safety, and it's kind of in between safety and off to pull this out. If you try to pull it out now, it won't come out. If you put it on safe and try to pull it out, it won't come out. So you have to wiggle it back and forth in between so it will come out. Oh, you know what? I should have taken the tension off this. Oh, it doesn't matter. So if this spring was in here, this would be pushing up on this firing pin, and I'd have a lot of torque right here. And I would want to release that, but I don't have to worry about that. So I'm moving this up and down while I'm pulling out. You see it starting to come out? So that pin holds your what's called grip safety. So this piece calls out, and this pin is holding that. Then when you get in here, you have, oh, that was my flat spring. I'll put that back in there so you can see it. So your flat spring is going to be right here. That can come out. Then your hammer and your sear is being held in by these two pins. Notice they're flat on this side and they're pushed through on this side. So we're going to push them this way and let these other pieces fall out. So we'll take the hammer off first. These are really low tension. I'm going to push this out. Comes out pretty easy. And there's my hammer. Came out. Now, this last pin is the sear. This is where you want to look at what's going on here. There's a little piece that pops up here that's got to go the right way, and there's two little pieces in there. So when you pull this pin out, those pieces are going to fall out. And if you weren't paying attention, you're going to be screwed. Now, I pushed them out, and they're just laying there, and they didn't fall out. But you're going to see them fall out right here in front of your eyes. Voila. There's one. And there's two. Okay? Now, with those two out, your trigger will come out. Oh no, it won't come out unless I take my safety out. Do I want to take the safety off? I might as well, shit. So in order to take my magazine release, I said safety, I meant magazine release. Your trigger won't come out unless your magazine safety's out, so I have to take this magazine safety out. You'll notice this little screw right there. People strip that screw out all the time. You have to push out while you're trying to unscrew, and you'll hit a sweet spot and it'll unscrew. It won't unscrew here, and it won't unscrew if you press it too hard. So this is just kind of a feel thing that you get your little screwdriver in there, and I'm basically trying to spin this very lightly as I'm pushing out, and at some point it's going to spin. And there it is. Very lightly, because I got it right to the right sweet spot. And then your safety comes out, or your magazine release, I'm sorry. And there's a little spring in there that if you take this out, it's very difficult to get back in. But you will see, if this camera picks it up, there's a little piece right there. That's the piece you're spinning. And if you spin this up to this point, it's going to pop out. And if you're not ready, you're going to lose your spring and your screw. So that's another cavity and another spring that we need to clean. And then once your safety comes out, your trigger just slides right out. And it looks like there's some moly or something in there. I don't think that's rust. And now you are left with a frame, period. You can have access to all crevices, holes, corners, everything. So when you take this thing apart like this, you want to make sure and clean everything really good, because most people don't take this part apart a lot. Now all these pieces are clean. I have two sets of guns going on over here. So this is all my 38 special and grips. All this is my 1911 stuff in the magazine and the grips here. Okay? Grip screws, etc. All this has been cleaned, except for the magazine. I need to do that. All this has been cleaned and oiled, so I'm only working on what's called the lower if you were talking about an AR. So I want to give this a good clean. I want to give each of these pieces a good cleaning. Alrighty, so let's try a little strike hold on this flat spring. Oh, didn't like what I got off that. Ah, little junk. Don't like it. I like that I got it and I found it. I just don't like seeing it. Not a lot. I mean, it's not horribly dirty, but dirtier than I like. I like the little design they put in this trigger guard. I thought that was kind of cool. Kind of unique. Don't see that a lot. When I'm doing a trigger job, I polish these surfaces because this is your hammer, and if these two sides are smooth, it's going to reduce friction when you're firing your gun. So these, if you notice, they look a little polished because I have polished them. So these two look like they're not too bad. Grip safety has a lot of corners and crevices. You really want to get in all these cracks and crevices with a Q-tip to make sure. Little tiny kind of dirt, not a lot. But any of these areas that you can't normally get to unless you get a complete pull down, you really want to take advantage of these, what I call a complete strip of the gun. My Q-tip's looking a little dirty, but not bad. I'm okay with this, what I got off here. This is your safety. I usually make sure and remove any burrs or anything on the safety so the safety's smoother. So if that looks a little polished, that's because I've taken off any burrs and I've just smoothed it out and polished it. Now some people will say when you smooth it out and polish it, you're removing bluing, which will make it rust quicker. I haven't run into that, but there may be some truth to it. But if you clean your gun regularly, you don't have to worry about that. Same thing with this. When I'm doing a trigger job, I flatten out these surfaces and make sure they're nice and smooth. I don't want anything rubbing because this moves and that's part of your trigger. And these guns can kind of be a little intimidating with all these parts. There's plenty of videos on how to put it back together. As long as you don't lose anything and you go slow, you're going to be okay. I see so many people neglect their guns because they're afraid to get in there and do what needs to be done. So this is a little bitty piece. This little piece right here is what I pulled out of the magazine release. And here's the little spring. And then here's the little magazine release with that hole. Now I got to get something in that hole. And because it's so small, it's usually neglected. I'm going to have to use a pipe cleaner in there. Not too bad. Put a drop in there. Just a lot of little places that you can't get access to when it's not taken apart. So, alrighty. Those are done. I always polish this up on my trigger because, again, the trigger is smooth and moving. I want to, any holes in the trigger or anything in the trigger, a lot of times they get neglected. Make sure and clean those out when you can get to them easy. This has a set screw, so I can't get to that. So you look in there, there's a little screw that I can adjust this trigger reset. Sometimes called a set screw. It may be an inappropriate name for it, but this is the back of the screw. So I definitely want to get some oil on there. Okay, so all the little pieces are done. I've wiped them down. I haven't oiled them. Now I want to get access to all these holes that I've pulled pins out of and everything else. Because this is the time. This magazine well here, I really want to get in there and clean that out because that's rubbing surfaces and I can't really get to it. This trigger well right here, I want to get both sides and up top because the trigger is usually in here, so you can't get to that. So you want to make sure and get that good. Got a little bit of dirt, not a lot. Supposed to get thunderstorms later, so we'll see how that goes. Corners where this flat spring goes, you can't really get to that unless you pull off all this crap. Alrighty, so this thing was pretty clean on the inside. I'm okay with this. I can really get in here now and get my finger all the way up in there. It doesn't get stuck. And do some good surface cleaning, removing any surface rust. Nice. It's looking good, huh? Look at that nice clean frame. Woo, doggies. Yeah, that's a happy frame. Okay. Now I'm just going to get some oil and start putting crap back together. I shake this up good. We are just going to put a good coat of oil on everything while it's apart, so when it goes back together, if I missed any places, the parts that I oil will hopefully lubricate any place I missed. Oh, I thought something was moving and that was my glove catching. Oh shit, I forgot to pull out this spring. Here's another thing that's neglected, this spring right here. This has to be pulled out and removed. It only goes in one way. So you get a little thing right here. It's 3 pieces normally. Those are your 3 pieces that fit in there. and that tube. Have to use a pipe cleaner in that tube. Very neglected area. People don't want to pull that out. Not too bad. Good. So I'm going to use the other end of this tube with some break free and give the inside of that a good, because that is a big rust spot. So this little hole right here in this spring is what makes your safety stay on and off. It's also how you get your retaining pin that keeps that, everybody gets that idiot scratch right here because they don't know how to put that pin in. So definitely want to, I didn't get that little, this little hole that goes right up here is also neglected. You see my glove through that hole? That's another hole that is neglected because it's kind of out of the way and it doesn't scream, don't forget about me. So we need to get right on in there and get that nice twisting. You can see it coming through the other side. Alrighty, let's start putting this sucker back together. Oh, I forgot to clean this little sucker. Looks pretty clean. Yep, don't have a whole bunch out there. Now I already put oil inside the tube, but I'm going to go ahead and oil this bad boy up before I slide this back in here. So that goes back in there. Pretty simple. Did I put oil on these things? I don't think I did. If I did, I'm doing it again. How about that? I think I cleaned them, but I didn't oil them. So I'm going to, where's that pipe cleaner? I want to get my magazine release little hole done. I remember cleaning that, but I don't remember putting any oil in there. And I'm going to put that back together. So we have these three pieces. Spring goes in first. The spring is finished on both sides, so it doesn't matter which way it goes in. Spring goes in, then the screw goes in, and now I got to get a screwdriver in there and get that little thing to line up to where it's supposed to line up. This is sometimes when I wish I had my reading glasses, but I think I can do it. Oh shit, son of a bitch, it popped out and didn't fall. Holy shit, I gotta block that. That's gonna be a freaking disaster if I drop this little sucker. There'll be way too much cussing. I'll lose all kind of viewers. Okay, so I pushed the spring in and twisted it so it locked in this little groove right here. And then when I put it back in here, trigger has to go in first. Get a little drop on that screw. So the trigger sometimes will go in two different ways. You want to make sure this angle here, it goes with the gun like so. If you put it like this, it's not going to work. So it's got to be with the angle of the gun. Hopefully you can see that. And the trigger should just drop right in this little track and fall right in. I always do this to see what kind of tension I'm getting. If I can't do this, then I'm saying something's wrong with my trigger. So I always test my trigger like this to make sure it's in there. Then, magazine release goes in. Remember, you had to push this out because it falls up and down. You have to do the same thing when you're twisting because you have to hit that sweet spot. So I'm actually trying to twist it right now as I'm pushing up to where I get the sweet spot. And it's got to be right at the right spot. Come on, baby. You know you want to go in there. And it's there. Popped in. Good to go. Oh, shit, what just fell? Okay, that's no big deal. See, that didn't fall out before because it wasn't... That's my little spring that's in here. That didn't fall out before because it wasn't oiled. Now that it's oiled and clean, it came out easy. Goes in tight, comes out easy. When somebody yells, goes in tight, that's what they're saying. Goes in tight, comes out easy. Alright, so we have that there. Now what's next? I think we need our sear. These two pieces right here is probably the most confused. This flat area needs to go to the back on the 1911. This little piece here needs to fit in there like so to where they work together. And then of course the pin is going to go through here and hold these two together. Okay? Oh shit, I was out of screen. Sorry about that. So these two need to go like so. You have it right here. And then the pin, once it's in there, is going to fit in like that. Okay? Looks easy, right? I laugh at you. You not knowing the pressures and the problems that you are about to incur. This is a very small area to work with. And they fall through and out. And it is a pain in the ass. And sometimes it's better to do one at a time. So I want that little pin right there to lay because that's going to come out. That's the piece that comes out the top here. So that needs to lay down right there. And then this guy needs to drop down on there like so. And then this is where having a small little thing, you can get it lined up before you try to do it with a pin, because this is very usually difficult to get these two lined up. And so the smaller thing you have going in, the better. Now, because I have this through, I won't know if they're right until I do this. It was wrong. See how I fell? I thought it was right, and I missed the pin on here. So, again, this is one of those things that I know this is lined up. Can I get this on there without messing anything up? Let's try it again. Aha! Now it's right. So now that I have this in here, now I don't want to move it whatsoever, and I want to get the pin that goes in there. Pin goes from this side. So I need to pull this out without moving it and get this pin in. And it won't go in. So I'm going to come on the other side, because I know this little guy was in there. And now he won't go in. Okay, so now I got this pin on this side. Now as I'm pushing, I'm going to use this pin to line up the other things. So this, and wiggle it. Come on, baby. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Man, this little guy does not want to go in. Usually goes in easier than that. And it's in. So now the pin is flat and flush. Those two pieces are in there, and I'm good to go. All right, what the hell came out next? Maybe this thing. Did I oil this up? I don't remember if I oiled this up or not. Rick, that's too much oil, and the gun isn't going to work, and you should never use... Whatever, people. So this little bad boy goes in here like so. And the other pin goes in. This one is pretty easy to get in. Okay? This is a little pin. Remember, that has to go in this piece when it's going back in. That's got to go right there. Okay? So now that that's in, put your flat mainspring in. Did I oil this up? Rick, you don't even know what you oiled. I don't know. But when in doubt, re-oil it. How about that? Flat spring, there's a little cutout right there at the bottom. That's where that little piece goes right there. So, I usually put the top in first. Ah! Freaking trying to keep it in the damn camera. Now I gotta wipe it down because it's freaking... it's rolled around on the floor picking up little hairs or something. I don't want to put those back in there. So I'm going to re-oil this. Alright, let's try that again. So that little pin is in there now. This is like that. That goes down like so. Now, we slide this piece in here. Oh, did I roll that? Rick, you should have oiled everything. I should have. I've only got 2 more pieces to know if I oiled it or not. So this is going to go in here like so, and it's going to hold that spring down. So it goes right over that. Now that spring can't pop out. Okay? And I think, there we go. For some reason, I think you want the trigger up when you're doing this. If it doesn't work, you can always pull it back out. So right now, I need to get this little pin here in this little groove here. But this piece is going to cover that up, and I'll be able to see it a little bit. So it's a real kind of touchy thing here. If I get it to where it's like swinging, and then I'm pushing this up as I get it right at the right angle. And I missed it. Now I have it. Okay. So, make sure that's in there. I just want to make sure that's good and centered in there. You don't want to bend this. There, now it's good and centered. So now when I push this in, you can tell it's spring tension. So I got to get that pin down there. But first you got to get this in. But I need to oil it. Rick, I think you already oiled that. Well, guess what? It's getting re-oiled. How about that? And I need a Q-tip because this has a lot of little corners. Oh, shit! And that strike hold, I didn't want to use that. Let me move that out of the way. I want the break free. I was using the strike hold to clean it. Would that matter? No, it doesn't. I could have used the strike hold. It's not the end of the world. But I cleaned with that strike hold. And now I'm oiling with the break free. And the outside really doesn't matter. It's the inside that I'm not going to be able to get to once I get this bad boy put back together. Okay. So now that we got that together, this little piece goes in, remember, because this pin is for that piece. We got to get this sucker in there. Now to line up. Now I got to get this pin through here. And then these pieces will go in this little hole here. And because it's on safety, you can't put a 1911 on safety unless the trigger is back. So, and then I have to push, see that little pin that's stopping me from getting that in there? I need to push that forward in order to get this 1911 together, to get it past there. And it went straight in. And now it's in. Okay? So when it's cocked, there's more spring tension on this. Okay? In order to make this easier to put together and put this pin in here, I want this trigger pulled. So I'm going to put pressure on it. I'm going to pull the trigger. This goes almost all the way in. I want to make sure this is working. And now I need to get my pin in here. Where the hell is that pin at? Did I lose a pin? How could I lose a pin? There it is. Did I oil that? I oiled it now. Alrighty. So this, I'm just going to push this down like I did before to get it in the right spot while pushing inward on this. So I've got the hole in, I've got this here, I'm pushing inward while pushing down in order to push this up to get it lined up. And now it's lined up, it's halfway in, but there's a little pin in there that's in the way. So I have to use a little mallet here just to get it past that little point. Not a lot. Flat. Rounded on the other end. And I am good to go. Now we'll do a little function check here. Half cock, full cock. Does it fire? It does fire. Alrighty. They say don't fire this like that because it bangs into here, it fractures. It's not going to do it on the first time. You shouldn't do it all the time, a whole bunch. I think you would have to do it a lot in order to have a problem. So this video's kind of been a long video, huh? This thing should be good and oiled up. I'm going to hit a few more corners. I don't think I got a Q-tip in the screw holes where my screws go. So these right here is where you screw in your grips. Those are also neglected areas. So I'm going to make sure and get good little lubricant and a good little cleaning inside each of those holes, because those are where my screws are going for my grips. And you don't want them rusting in. Now you can replace these. You notice there's a little slit on here, right here, that I can literally screw these out of the frame and put new ones in, different sized in, or if they get frozen shut, I can replace them. I don't ever pull those off to clean them, but I guess I could. Alrighty. So I think this is soaked in all that oil. Remember how oily this was? It's all gone now. See how that... I keep telling people about this oil that everybody is so afraid to use. If you're putting a gun up, having a thick coat of oil like this on it, it's going to absorb it. Q-tip in there. Make sure I get a good oil in here. I think I've already oiled this up, but I'm not sure. So let's get another. Man, this guy uses too much oil. Whatever. I always want to put it in like a Glock. Okay, so I have to get this spring. I don't remember if I put oil in there or not. Did I? Somebody else remember. I think I did because I said I oil all this up. So now I got to get this spring. Which end goes on the guide rod? The finished or the unfinished? The finished, you big dummies. This piece will get the unfinished end. Like so. Alright? And now I got to get my little paper clip and I need to push this down so I can recompress this spring. This one is actually pretty easy. So now my spring is recompressed. That's got to go through this hole here. Get in there. Do I want to put my grips on first? I don't know if I clean these grips on the inside. I'm just going to spread a little coat of oil on this plastic. So now they got a good coat of oil on the outside. This is the part that goes on the wood. Not too concerned about that. I will rub some oil on this wood just in case there's any metal or anything on the inside that happens to be on there. I'm not really putting a whole bunch of oil. I'm just getting off anything that could be on there. So I will put this finger grip on here, and again, I really love these. And then you put your grips over it. That's the wrong grip. How do you know it's the wrong grip, Rip? Because it's not right. Let's try this one. Ah, it's got the little cutout for the little hole right there. So this one is right on this side. That one's right on the other side. I can put my screws on now. Rick, you were supposed to keep the screws the right... Yeah, I know. Whatever. I go reverse. Here a click. Tighten a little bit. I want to tighten this down uniformly, not that it'll hurt. Reverse. I'm not hearing a click. Oh, I was going reverse. There's that click. Click. You guys can't hear it. So we got that one down. Okay. I don't torque these a whole bunch. I'm not worried about these coming off in a big drawn out battle of freaking War of the Worlds. Man, this is like been a really marathon video, but I think I got some good tips, hopefully to make it easier for other people. That's why I do this. Even though it seems like I'm kind of an asshole and I treat people bad, I actually kind of like helping the pesky citizens once in a while. If you got cheap wood and you go too tight, you'll crack these wood grips also. Alrighty. So now this little sucker's getting back together. This guy's almost done. Slide him on his rail. Find that little detemp pin there. It's almost right there. It is. That's there. Slide this back, take my little pin out. Make sure it works. Looks like it works. Now I have to get this detent pin over that. Remember, I'm going to push down, not up. Get it lined up. Come on top. Press down. Nice. Nice. Woo! That's a pretty gun. Look at that sucker. Yeah. Yeah. You like apples? How you like those apples? Look at that. Woo, doggies. Does it have a lot of oil on it? Yeah. Is it going to soak in and absorb? Yeah. Am I worried about it? No. Alright, so I didn't take apart this magazine. This has a little detent at the bottom. These magazines come apart pretty quick. Push in, slide forward. Your plate will come out. Your spring comes out. And your follower. This is a nice stainless steel follower. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little coat of oil because I usually keep my mags pretty clean. I'm going to look inside. This spring looks a little dry. Which means probably the oil that I put on it last time got absorbed. Let me take a look down in there. Is that clean? Can you guys see if that's clean or not? I need to look. Hey, that looks pretty clean. Guess what? I'm going to run a patch through it anyway. Rick, it's already clean. Why would you? Because I got it apart. I can make sure it's got a good fresh coat of oil. Look at that. Even though it looked clean. Look at that. Disgusting. Rick, that wasn't a clean patch. It was pretty much a clean patch. That freaking is disgusting. And it looked clean. I'm going to flip this the other side. If you flip the patch the other side, it looks pretty clean, right? Put a little oil on there. Looks can be deceiving. Still got a little crap out of there. Man, I'm glad I went down in there. I'm kind of surprised. Alrighty. Give the outside a good rub. This is plastic, so it's not going to rust. This looks like good stainless steel. This looks like it's got some oil on it. Let's put the sucker back together. Put this little sucker back in here. Go in there. Looks the same. Get my spring. How does the spring go? Go this way? I wasn't looking at it. Probably doesn't go that way because it's going up. Notice the spring is going up here. I want it with the right angle of this. So I'm going to switch this around. And now when it goes down, it'll fit in there better. So I'm going to get that over the top. Get my little lip on there. Get my glove out of there. Push that down. Push this back. Oh, where's my follower? Should be a detent in here to hold that. Oh, I dropped it. So I don't think I oiled that either. So I forgot my little detent spring in there. So let's pull this back out. Because this has a bulb on one side and it's flat on the other, the bulb is what's going to pop into here and keep this from moving. So that's got to go up. So I'm going to push the spring down. Let's try it this way. Wow. I did not see how this little sucker in here. It's got a little tab at the end on both ends. And I did not see a place for that to fit. So I know what happens. This pops into the inside of this spring. So I'm not going to see that once it goes in there. I was wondering where those little tips went on here. It's going to pop in here because this is kind of a fat lip. So I'm going to push this down just enough to get this past it. And then it's going to pop on in there. And there it is. Magazine back together. in the gun. Nice. 1911. Tore my damn glove. 1911. There you go. This is an American classic Amigo. Really like this gun. Great find at a pawn shop. Alright, hope you enjoyed it. Damn, that was a long ass video. We'll end that there.